Few things are more frustrating when you're trying to cook breakfast than a stove that won't start. So I've got a bad burner, really a bad igniter, and this is a Viking stove. I love it, but it's time to replace some of the igniters. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. We're going to change out the igniters today, and this is what they look like. Now, when you're not getting a good spark on your stove, yes, it's a good idea to clean these, even use a little emery pad, because you can short this thing a little bit. But what I want you to look for, if you're chronically having problems, I'm gonna see if I can get this in view, but right there, I don't know if the camera's gonna catch it, but this little piece of ceramic up here, it's actually cracked vertically from top to bottom. When that happens, you're gonna get debris inside that crack, and then it's gonna chronically short, and you're just not gonna get a good spark. That is an indication it is just time to change out these igniters. So let's get to it. First thing we want to do is get rid of these grates so that we've got access to the burner. And I'm just simply gonna move this out of the way. There are 2 bolts holding this burner assembly onto the platform. I'm using a 3mm Allen key to loosen them up. Hopefully your hardware is not too tight. With those bolts removed, you can just simply lift that base up. Now what you want to do is unplug the igniter, just gently tug it. Mine's kind of stuck in there good. Again, I'm just gonna wiggle it out. There we go. All right, don't lose your wire. My little clip that holds this thing tight is gone, so I can now just slide it out of there. And actually I can see that the crack actually runs the full length of the ceramic. So we're gonna replace this part. Now there is supposed to be a gasket inside here, and you can see that it is completely fallen apart. So while I'm changing out the igniter, I'm gonna put in a new gasket as well. I am gonna wipe this down, but I'm not gonna spend too much time today cleaning the stainless. Now, in order to get the right parts for your Viking range or whatever gas stovetop you have, you do need to get the part numbers. On this particular Viking, the part number and model number for this unit is actually underneath the counter on the bottom of the stove itself. So I'll show you where that is now. So going underneath, if I look at the bottom, all right, so we've got a wiring diagram, and actually the one I want is right there. So that's where you want to look to get your model. The 3 key parts are the igniter itself, so you want to make sure the ceramic isn't cracked at all. And there is a spring as well as a clip that's going to hold it nice and snug inside this burner base. So we'll go ahead and put that together now. So the assembly is pretty straightforward. We're going to drop our new igniter in, place the spring on, and now what we want to do is we want to compress the spring. This can be a little goofy. And once we compress that spring, we want to slide in this new clip. So I am kind of use my nails, push that down. Once I got it down, I'm just gonna slide that on like that. That's pretty firm. That's really the hardest part. Now we want to put a new gasket inside this area here. On eBay, I found a kit that had all the O-rings for my complete Viking stove, so now I just need to go through and find which gasket fits that base. All right, the one I'm working on is kind of a medium burner, so I'll grab the middle size, and that fits in there pretty nicely. That's it. I'm ready to put this burner back together, and then we'll give it a test. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is gently reconnect our igniter. Just make sure it's in there but not gonna come out. And then we'll keep your gasket seated nicely. We'll slowly push that wire back down. Find out how it fits and place it in. Next, we just want to drop our 2 bolts down into place. I'm going to back them up until I hear them click. Now get your bolts snug, but there is no need to crank on them. In fact, if you do, all you're doing is setting yourself up for the risk of having to drill these things out later. All right, now we're just putting the rest of our burner back together. All right, before I put the grills back on, let's test it. Perfect. All right, the process for the other 5 burners is identical. So that's all there is to it. Quite easy, and I found all my parts on eBay and Amazon.